Don't push me because I'm close to the hedge. There's hedges. I'm so dorky. It's me, CC in the UP, complimenting Catherine. Like, subscribe, and Sunny and share. Do it. Just do it now. Get it over with. Just click it. Alright, so I feel like I have failed my YouTube channel. For real, for real, for real, for real. So whatever I say here, I'm gonna upload because I don't know when my signal will leave or stay or whatever. And I had recorded this, you know, as I'm watching and listening to other creators. I recorded this story time about my life, some heavy duty stuff, and then I never edited it. So I'm just gonna record and then I'm just gonna upload with any stuff that needs to happen in the middle. So here's what's what. Tomorrow is the last day of my contracted work year, and then I'm sort of free. Right now, I'm going to a town in the middle of the western Upper Peninsula to look at either I think it's a 1979 Coachman Leprechaun camper. Like, how bad could it be? It's 1979. Could be pretty bad. That's a long time ago. That's a really long time ago. Anyhow, I'm down with the vintage stuff. And I just want to do some things that are fun and good for me. I'm going on a trip. I am leaving the UP in a couple of days. Got people coming to take care of my animals. I am going on a trip. I am going first to Chicago. There used to be a show called Chicago on local cable access TV. That's a story time. Let's do that story time. Let's talk about local cable access television. See how things just kind of happen? Should I tell on myself? I should tell on myself. All right. Here we go. The year is 1992. And cable access television, if you're not familiar with that, it is just, you know, anybody can be on it. It's like a local small broadcasting stations. Don't get a lot of bandwidth. I think there are still cable access stations. Anyhow, at that time I was a younger mother and I was in the throes of weird, stressful, how do I parent? I don't know what I'm doing. And my marriage wasn't terrific, but a lot of that had to do with me and I just being stressed out all the time. I just didn't know how to relax. Anyhow, I was doing the regular thing, which was at that time washing clothes and doing laundry and folding stuff. And there was this show that came on called Reservations with Bill Fisher and, oh my gosh, what was her name? This sidekick. Anyway, let me go on. So it was this couple, this kind of chunky, attempting to be well-dressed, kind of Liberace-esque, but maybe 40 years old guy in a suit sitting in a booth that looked like it was from maybe the 1940s, that red leather kind of look. Like they had set up this booth. And he was sitting in there and Reservations. My name is Bill Fisher. And I can't quite imitate his voice, nor do I think I'd want to, but he was mesmerizing. Gosh, what was her name? I want to say her name was like Bubbles or something. So picture Marilyn Monroe. A few words, very blonde but quiet, kind of demure and shy, and a chunky woman. You know, the kind that has to like move the table a little bit to fit in, beautiful nonetheless. And I was just taken with this show. It was funky, it was whimsical, it was eclectic, it was weird, and I loved all of that. I was of the ilk of watching like Benny Hill, Monty Python, for those of you who know those shows, and then Ernie Kovacs. I liked a lot of the weird things that were before my time. So I was watching that show, and I haven't been able to find it. I've searched for reservations with Bill Fisher. Searched for it everywhere. But after that show came on, there was a show that was put together by some college student named Joe and his friends. And it was, so at the time I lived on the very far north side of the city in a neighborhood called Rogers Park. And this show, this cable television show that was, I think, a half an hour long every week, was This Week in Joe's Basement. I'm Joe. And then the guy he's always wearing a t-shirt and pants, of course pants, and the camera would normally be focused on a reclining leather-looking chair in a basement. And the show would start and he'd be in this chair this week, or no, he'd say, it would start out with the music, dun 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 dun. It was almost like whatever that is, but it wasn't copywritten because it was somebody's bad interpretation of it, whatever that song is. And then the camera would open up and there'd be this guy Joe, kind of scruffy looking, kind of handsome, 20s, probably graduate student, maybe even going after a PhD student, I don't know, University of Chicago, which is, a place to go if you want to have a good education. I was accepted there, by the way, I don't know. So Joe would say, I'm Joe, and this is my basement. And then he would reach over, turn away from the camera, and reach down and grab a bag of chips, of Cheetos, of, I can't remember, it was always some kind of crunchy munchy stuff, and he would just take a big mouthful. And he had a P.O. box, and you could write to him, and he would read people's mail, and he would base his show on his crew of characters, and they would do things like go out into the street and interview people about something to do with cigarettes, something to do with racial profiling. I'm just trying to remember the different things. I wish I could remember. When you're postmenopausal, it's really very intense. So Joe's Basement, it probably went on, the show itself probably went on, I don't know for how many episodes, but for several years. And I started writing into This Week in Joe's Basement. I'm not going to tell you what character I was, but I started writing letters to Joe and to his crew. And then there was a call-in. There was a live call-in at the time during payphones, and I called in. Anyway, I had this ongoing dramatic arc with Joe and his crew. It was fucking fun. Years later, I don't know how many years later, but years later, probably 5 years ago, I decided to see if I could find that show, watch it, right? This is still on, in syndication, cable TV syndication, in, what would we call it? Local access cable TV syndication. And lo and behold, it wasn't on television anymore. However, it was, excuse me while I take a drink of my enormous Pepsi Zero. Don't lecture me. It was, however, on the interwebs. And I have a good memory, the production company that this man, Joe Winston, started is called Ow My Eye. And of course he's gone on to do all different kinds of things in the media. I don't know that he's a bigwig, but I think he's a happy person, and I think he's done a lot of good things with his career. But I got to see those episodes. I got to see all of the episodes, I think. And then, oh God, what was it called? A guy would very likely probably lay on a bed or something, so that his chin, imagine somebody laying on a bed with their head hanging over backwards like this. So this guy had a beard and a mustache, and they would just focus on his chin and his mouth. So they put like a bandana around here, and then they put some paper eyes and a little nose on him. And I don't know, but he kind of talked like this, and with always licking his lips and going like this. You guys have to go watch This Week in Joe's Basement. You guys have to go watch it. Somebody wants to go around me. Go for it, mister. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun, but going back and, you know, a few years ago watching those shows, I was like, man, I was twisted, bored, unhappy, having fun, creative, all the things, dark humored, and it was fun. And it brought to my mind, I think probably one of the reasons I was attracted to that show, besides the fact that it was odd and strange, is that in the city of Chicago, there's a newspaper called the Reader newspaper. Maybe it exists in other towns as well, but it used to be a great big paper in 4 sections. I've even been in it, and a feature story, but that's not part of this story today. So it used to have a section, you know, the help wanted, this, that, the other, and then there was also, I don't know if they called it personals or something along those lines, but whatever they called it, people would write in and say, you know, just like the weirdest things, whether it be somebody's right on my rear end, go bro, go. They would write in and it would say like the weirdest things, not so much like the whole like, you know, you're going to die, you're going to hell, or Jesus is coming and all that kind of stuff, but more like these secret messages that they would send to each other. And somebody's riding on my ass, so I'm distracted, sorry. And I have another story about the Reader personals. That's what I think they were called, the personals. Around the same time, I think, that I was watching This Week in Joe's Basement, I was working for a company that was marketplace newspaper for machinery and etc. And one of the guys who was in the production department, the actual production of the newspaper, was a weird eclectic dude. By this time I was divorced, so it must have been 2 or 3 years later. And somehow, I mean, we were flirty and stuff, but I wasn't physically attracted to him, but we were flirty and weird with each other. And somehow he let it be known that, you know, the Reader personals were something that was read regularly. So I started putting like weird stuff in it was free. You know, I think it was 25 words or less on a postcard. You sent it in, and they would type it up and put it in the paper, as long as it was appropriate. There were some inappropriate things too. Blah, blah-de, blah, blah-de, blue. So we had this, neither one of us ever divulged to the other that we were actually posting things. This is, you know, a long time before the interwebs was a thing. Actually, not that long. But long, you know, it was probably right before AOL. So, yeah. Yeah, is that like, those two things I described, is that like catfishy? What is catfishy? I don't even know what catfishy is, but whatever it is, I think it has to do with like pretending like you're someone else to, well, no, I wasn't trying to lure anybody. The one person was a television program and the other was a person in my real life who I was just messing with, and they were messing back with me. Anyway, he's dead now, that guy I just talked about. Really sad. I really liked him. He was a good man. And anyway, that's my story time. Here's more from me. I think in my last video, I don't know how long it was, this is probably very short, I said that I had some big news about a trip. So here's my big news. I'm going to Ireland. Wow. Mine Irish eyes are smiling. I'm going to Ireland. I'm very excited about it. Do you guys want to see some video footage when I'm there? Should I film some things? Random thought. Someone told me recently that only 3% of the population has green eyes. But mine are hazel. They're mostly green though. I don't know. Sometimes they're just green. Is that true though? About 3% of the population. And I also, I think I had come online last time to show you my hair. I don't know if I'm going to get it grow out or not, but I've got to get my nails done. I've got to. I must. My friend who's going to Ireland with me, she and I are both decided that we would get yellow polish for the solstice, the summer solstice, which we are going to experience in Ireland together, wherever you go. And I have decided, don't hate me, to work one more year. Because here's the thing. The insurance to pay for it myself prior to, even though I did retire from teaching in Chicago. Yes, I'm a teacher. I retired from teaching in Chicago, but I'm not old enough for my pension to kick in. So that means I have to pay for my own health insurance. And this is such a weird age to be, right? Because, in your 60s, even if you can retire, because you still are kind of screwed, depending on the field you work in, to have to be able to pay for your own health insurance. Unless you marry somebody who, I would never get married. Never say never, but good Lord, I'm not good at that. That's an arc of a story for another time. But, yeah, I got a lot of strikes in that category. How about you? You've been married. I don't miss the bull, but I do miss the cuddling. Anyhow, I think that's going to be it. I'm going to this town, and I'm arriving in about 15 minutes, but my video has gone on and on. Questions for you. This has all been very spontaneous. Have you ever done any weird, whimsical, strange, oddball stuff in your life? Participated in any of it? Tell me about it. And please do like, subscribe, and Sonny and share my video. I am CC in the UP, which stands for the Upper Peninsula, particularly and more specifically the Western Upper Peninsula. You are you, and I will be back sooner than I was the last time. Bye for now, beauties. See you later, alligator.